Elizabeth at A Literary Princess. If you are new here, welcome. I'm a fifth-year PhD candidate in English literature with a focus on Victorian women novelists. And as you might expect, I love to read. Today I have what I read for Picture This 2024. So Picture This is an event run by Shelley Swearingen and Jack from Spread Book Joy, and it is all about reading and celebrating picture books. So I read 5 books for it this April, and I'm going to tell you about them, show you some of the illustrations, and give you my ratings. Let's jump in. So first up is one that I bought while I was in Greece, and this is In the Night I Dream of Home by Vangelis Iliopoulos, illustrated by Harrington Beckieris. I'm not saying those right, probably. So this is about the caryatid who was in the 19th century forcibly removed from the building it was a part of and brought to the British Museum, where it still remains today. And it's a bit of a sore subject. And we heard a lot about it while we were in Greece, so when I saw this in the Acropolis Museum, I really wanted to get it. The illustrations are really beautiful. I don't know how well you can really see them. I'm trying though. Really, truly stunning. So in this, the soul of the caryatid is kind of imagined as this bird, and she is lonely and missing her home and her sisters, who are the other 5, I believe. I think there's 6 of them total. And it's really just a plea to bring the stolen objects back to Greece where they belong. There is some information in the back all about that, as well as in the front. I don't know, the front is about the whole series, which is called Little Steps, Big Reads. So which is about introducing children to these kind of larger topics in a way that they can understand, which I think that's a really lovely idea. And then in the back, there is some historical information about what happened and how Greece would like what's referred to as the Parthenon marbles, I believe, returned, which is pieces of the Parthenon that were just like chipped off the building and taken. Really kind of horrible. And this book really highlights kind of the trauma of that, because it is traumatic to the buildings that had pieces physically removed, but also to the people of the country. So I thought this was a really gorgeous book. I gave it 4 stars. I'm really glad that I bought it. Again, illustrations are just gorgeous. I had a heck of a time finding it on Goodreads because the translation is not on there. That's only in the original Greek. So I was, trying to look up the title in the original Greek. It was a whole thing. But I really liked this. 4 stars. And this did count for one of the prompts, which was night. There are 6 prompts. They are all single word so that they are pretty easy to, match with things. The next one that I read was The Sleeping Beauty, retold and illustrated by Trina Schaart-Hyman. So this is based off of the Brothers Grimm version of Sleeping Beauty, which is typically called Briar Rose. And this is one of my favorite illustrators. Trina Schaart-Hyman does such a good job. Oh, there's so much glare on the pages, sorry. Like, really nailing this kind of fairy tale vibe, because the pictures are just so lush and gorgeously detailed and beautiful, but they can also be incredibly creepy. So here's when the evil fairy shows up. Like, creepy. Very creepy. Ugh, the scene where they're burning the spinning wheels. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I mean, God, this scene of the hedge that grows up around, really creepy. So creepy. So I really appreciate that Hyman goes for the creepiness of the original tales, because the original tales are super creepy. And not, you know, all fairies and happily ever after. There's definite creep factor, and I just so appreciate that she does that with her illustrations. I really enjoyed this as well. I gave it 4 stars. So while I adored the illustrations, I was not as enamored with the text, I guess. So, I mean, instead of it being a spindle, they refer to it as a distaff, which maybe is how they referred to it in the original Brothers Grimm text. I don't know. I just think spindle sounds nicer. So I just looked it up. The version of the Brothers Grimm that I have says spindle, and spindle and distaff are actually 2 different parts of used for spinning. So I don't know why she went with distaff instead of the more traditional spindle. It was just odd to me. But yeah, there were just a few things about the text that I didn't really like. But I mean, illustrations are gorgeous. This counted for the prompt of blue, because there is a lot of blue here, particularly her dress, but also lots of blue in the sky. So I did really enjoy this, 4 stars, just not quite as much as I loved Hyman's version of Snow White. I had been thinking about doing a deep dive into Hyman's illustrations, but I didn't end up doing that. Instead, I bought from thrift books 3 picture books from my childhood that I no longer have and that I really wanted to revisit. And the reason this all got started was because of this book, Molly, by Joseph S. Bonsall and illustrated by Erin Marie Moderer. So I had this book as a child and I have been looking for it off and on for years. I could not remember the title, definitely couldn't remember the author. What I remembered was what it is about, which is about a kitten whose mother realizes it is unsafe for her kitten to be where they are living and brings her out so that she can... My cat just fell off the table like an idiot. Anyway, the mother cat brings her kitten somewhere where she will find a new home, and she is adopted by a woman who is called Mother Mary, who has 3 other cats. So I could only remember it was a kitten born under a porch whose mother leaves it somewhere to find a new home. And I thought that the new owner only had 2 cats, and I remembered that one was named Pumpkin and one was kind of snarky. So I've been like Googling and putting out calls for like, hey, anybody know this book? For several years now, because it was one of my favorites as a kid and I really just wanted to revisit it. And because it was Picture This for April, my husband and I were talking about picture books and I thought, hey, what the heck, let's try again. I Googled with all of the keywords I could try. It would not come up. I was picture books about cats. I went through lists and lists of picture books about cats and could not find it. So I finally posted on my Tumblr, which I have done before, and was like, hey, I described it, and somebody found it. They were like, I know this book, it's Molly. And they linked me to a copy on Thrift Books, and I was like, yeah, I'm buying it. So it was so perfect that it happened for Picture This. I was joyful which means this counts for another prompt, joy. This book brought me joy, and finding this book again brought me joy. And it really is a very joyful book in general anyway, because this kitten gets a home. So the illustrations are adorable. Look at the mama cat and the baby. Oh. I mean, the beginning is honestly kind of heartbreaking, but, you know. It's just so sweet and so gorgeous. Oh, so cute. And then here's little Molly meeting the other kittens, which this is the illustration I really remembered, except I only remembered 2 of the cats. Which I'm like, is that why I couldn't find it? I don't know, but I've found it, and I'm so incredibly happy. I gave this 4 stars as well. Really, really had fun revisiting this. So because I was buying Molly on thrift books, I needed to buy a few more books to get free shipping, because I will pay for books, but I won't pay for shipping. So I decided to get 2 other books from my childhood that I no longer have a copy of. And the first is Sea Tale by Gail E. Haley. I loved this book as a kid. And I want to point out, I asked my mother if she remembered Molly, and she did not. She remembered a book about a cat, and she was like, it's probably named after the cat, which it was. But she had no recollection. Like, I was giving her details, she had no recollection. And then I was like, oh, well, do you remember Sea Tale? And gave her all the details about this. She was like, no. I'm like, Mom, we read it so much. So, you know, I really did try all avenues. This is about a man who is a sailor. His name is Tom, and he heard from his uncle, I think, about when his uncle fell in love with a mermaid. So when Tom grows up, he goes out in search of a mermaid, and they fall in love. Look at these illustrations. Oh, they're so unique and they are so gorgeous. And I adored this as a kid. I really loved mermaids as a child. So I was all for this one. Oh. And then he leaves and she's sad and crying on the rocks. Oh, it's heartbreaking. So this was great. I suppose this can count for the prompt of nature, because what's more natural than an ocean with a mermaid in it? But there are really, like, I mean, the way that the ocean is drawn is really quite gorgeous. Like, even just look at the title page. Beautiful. I love how unique this art style is. I gave this one 4 stars as well. I really loved revisiting it, and I'm so glad that I own a copy now, or again. And then the final book is An Ellis Island Christmas by Maxine Rhea Leighton. Leighton? I don't know. And illustrated by Dennis Nolan. So yes, it's a Christmas story. It's April. It's fine. It's fine. And this counts for the prompt of change, because this is about a little girl named Krysia who is immigrating from Poland to the United States. And this covers her journey. We start off at their home in Poland, and we see them trekking because they have to walk to where they get on the ship. And they have to go across the ocean. And then they eventually land at Ellis Island and have to go through the inspection and everything. And that happens on Christmas. And in the end, she is reunited with her father, who had gone ahead of them to get everything all set up. This is a really beautiful book. I loved it as a kid, mostly because there's a plot point where Christia has to choose which of her dolls she's going to take with her. She has 2 dolls, and she can only take 1 toy with her. And she's kind of heartbroken at that. So she chooses one and leaves one behind. And then when they get to Ellis Island, it turns out that her mother brought the second doll as her own personal item. And that really hit me as a kid because I was a little girl who loved dolls, and that is something my mother would have done for me. And so I just really loved that as a child. And I'm so glad I got to revisit it. The illustrations in this are stunning, stunning, stunning. And I think it's a really great way to talk to children about a historical time period and events that happened and people's experiences. So I also gave this one 4 stars. So that is what I read for Picture This 2024. I hit 5 of the 6 prompts. The only one I didn't get was Peach, which just didn't happen. I've got a cat named Pumpkin in the Molly book. I don't think that counts though. But I had such a good time participating in this event again. Thank you so much to Shelly and Jack for hosting it. Can't wait to do it next year and see what other picture books I can discover and also revisit, because that is something I really love about this event, is revisiting books from my childhood. Let me know down in the comments below, have you read any of these? What did you think? Were you participating in Picture This, and what did you read for it? If you liked this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to see more of my bookish content. It has been great chatting with you. I will see you soon. Bye.